Hey, hello, leaders. Hey, this is Paul Grau Jr., and welcome to Run to Your Leadership Challenges. So, today I want to talk about the importance of having a vision and kind of the purpose of a vision. So, let me start by asking, do you have a clear vision? Now, if you're like most people, you may not, because the amount of people who have a very clear vision, I mean, crystal clear, they know where they want to be in a year from now. They know where they want to be 5 and 10 years from now. That's a rare thing. A lot of people say they do, but very few really have that crystal clear vision where they can open it up anytime and see exactly where that vision is and where they are in the path to that vision. So, a couple things that are really important to know about a vision and the purpose of a vision. First of all, a vision drives you. There's nothing more driving or something that is capable of driving you than having a clear vision of where you want to go. Think of a map. Think of a you're going on a trip to a town that you've never been to before. Well, you're going to kind of visualize that. You may pull it up on your app on your phone or whatever, but you're going to plug that in and you have a clear vision just by looking at that map of where you're going to go and you can drive there. It's the same thing with a vision that you have for yourself. It gives you the ability to drive yourself and it gives you that drive to want to get there. It also gives you direction every day, just like that map, just like the directions to get places. That's what a good vision does that. It gives you direction. Every day you can look at your tasks and what you've been doing, and you can identify whether or not you're working towards that vision. It also provides confidence and purpose to your everyday. You know, um, you know exactly where you're going and why you're going. And when you know where and why you're going, man, that gives you confidence because again, there's a lot of people that don't know where they're going, don't know why they're going, where they're going, or they're just wandering around aimlessly. And when you have a vision, you could be confident in yourself and what you're doing because you know the reason behind that. Your vision also motivates you. Not only motivates you, but a clear vision for your team can motivate everybody on that team. Because again, you can see where the things that you're doing, you can see where it's going to get you. And that kind of is the last reason why a vision is important is because it allows you to see the relevancy of everything you do every day. And possibly it can point out the non relevant stuff that you're doing. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be doing non relevant stuff because every once in a while you just got to kick back and relax, right? And don't do something that's aimed towards a vision. And there's nothing wrong with that. But just know that you can set your compass and go there and you can see exactly how relevant every task is that you're doing. And every team member can see how relevant their job is. That reminds me of the old saying that, you know, somebody walks into a building in an architecture firm and they see two janitors and they ask the one janitor, "Hey, what do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm a janitor." And they ask a second one, "Well, what do you do?" And he said, "I'm building a cathedral," because he could see what his job was and how relevant it was for everyone else that was working in that building. Because without the janitor there, they couldn't do a whole lot of stuff, and it'd be a mess. So let's talk about, I want to go over 7 fairly easy steps on how you can develop a clear vision. Now, this can apply for a short term vision and a long term vision. It doesn't really matter. Some people have 1 year visions, 3, 5, 10, 20 year visions. All right. And so these are very simple tasks or steps, but they will put you on the right path to really creating a crystal clear vision. So, step number one, you need to brainstorm. Brainstorm on paper. Get out a piece of paper or like one of those big post it pads, get out a big piece of paper and just start writing down everything that where you want to go and the things that you want to accomplish in the future. I mean, and the one number one rule of brainstorming is you don't squash anything. Everything gets written down. If it comes to mind, write it down. I don't care what it is. Now, you could do this on paper, or if your team is like spread out geographically, you can brainstorm virtually. All right, you can go do it. You can do this on a Zoom or a Teams meeting or whatever virtual video that you use. And all you have to do is get one person that will keep track, or you could just have everybody type their ideas in the chat. And then at the end of the meeting, you want to just make sure you copy and save all the notes from that chat. And then you could put everything together and email that out to everybody. Now, this is important to email it out to everybody on your team. If it's just yours, you want to brainstorm, get that list together, and then let it simmer. Now, what I mean by letting it simmer, just let it sit. You've gotten all these ideas down. You don't want to do anything with them right now. Just let them simmer for a day or two, a minimum of a day. If you let it go like a few days or a week, that's probably even better. Because step number two, you're going to come back and you're going to look at all these ideas. And then you're going to go through it and you're going to cross out all the things that you don't really think are important now. All those things that were kind of ridiculous that you wrote down anyway, go through your list and cross out all the things that are not very important. They can be somewhat important, but you really want to keep the ones that are most important to you. All right. Step number three, you want to narrow down this list. Now, this is important for a short-term vision list because you want to narrow down the list for your short-term vision list, and it could be a 1-year vision or even a 3-year vision, but you want to narrow down the list to all the things that are realistically achievable in that time frame. So if you got a 20-year vision, and you could keep everything on the list, right? But if you got a 1 to 3-year vision, well, there's certain things that you just can't accomplish in a year or 3 years. Say getting a doctorate's degree, you can't do something like that in 3 years because like med school is 4 years, and then you go to residency and all this other stuff. So there's a lot of years there. So that might be a 10-year vision. So you can cross it off your 1-year vision. However, that doesn't mean that you're still not doing things today that are going to lead to that 5 and 10-year vision. But I'm really focused on the 1-year or the short-term vision. Narrow down the list to realistic possibilities that you can achieve in that time frame. Once your list is narrowed down, step 4 is to prioritize your list. If you have 10 things on that list, prioritize it 1 through 10. And again, let it simmer. Now, while it's simmering, you could think about these things. You can look at it every once in a while, but you're not going to do anything with it. You're just going to look at it and you're going to dream. You're going to start seeing those things being accomplished. And then step 5, you come back a day or two later and you give everything a realistic deadline. Now, this is where it starts to get real because this is where you start holding yourself accountable. If you're anything like me, once you put a deadline to something, it's on your radar. And it's like, okay, I'm going to make sure I get that done. What do I got to do today? Or what can I do today to inch closer to the thing that's on that deadline? And now, sometimes this gets me in trouble because I can procrastinate. And there's certain things that I know that I can do in a very short time. So I'll put that to the back burner. And sometimes I do it too hastily at the last minute. So I wouldn't recommend that. But give everything a very realistic deadline. And then you're going to start, holding yourself accountable. Step number six, you're going to incorporate all those deadlines into your calendar. Now, short term vision list, you are going to incorporate everything on your this year's calendar. Start putting days in there. Start figuring out where you got to be 6 months from now to get to that place where that vision is going to lead you in 12 months. So you're incorporating into your calendar, and you might be putting checkpoints or milestones along the year, throughout the year. And then finally, you're going to the final step number 7. And this is kind of a continuation of step number 6, but you get a little bit more detail. This is where you're going to start writing out everything that you need to do to get to accomplish that vision, to get to where that vision, where you see yourself, you're starting to write out everything that you need to do. Now, this will be a very detailed list because you want to include as many details as possible. Because if you forget some things, you're going to go back and you're going to have to backtrack. And then finally, 7 part B is to start taking action. So there you go. 7 steps to developing a clear vision. Now, of course, a long-term vision, you can still do everything on here, but it's not going to be the completed one's not going to be on your calendar. Although it could be because, the calendar app on your phones, you can go, 10, 15, 20 years from now. So you can start putting deadlines out that far and start programming stuff in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now. So I hope that you got some value out of today because visions are extremely important because they provide that clear vision. They drive you. They give you direction every day. They pick up and boost your confidence, and they give you purpose. They can motivate you and your team. And it'll allow you to see the relevancy or the irrelevancy of everything that you're doing on a daily basis. So, hey, that's it for today. If you got any questions, you can always email me at paul@clcteam.com. And also, I want to shout out that I started up a new YouTube channel, and this is primarily for military members who are transitioning to the civilian world. Either, they're getting out at their 10-year mark or their 6-year mark or retiring, because I want to help transitioning military leaders find their perfect fit in the civilian world. There are so many veterans out there that are unhappy and they're living a life that's just not fulfilling to them. You got a lot of depression, anxiety. There's 22 suicides a day for veterans out there. All right. There's 22 veteran suicides every day. That's too much. That's too many. And I think a lot of it comes down to is they're not happy with what they're doing. They're not in that job that's a good fit for them. And it's so important. So, if you're transitioning or if you're just not happy in your job, hey, you can jump on that YouTube channel as well. It's called Military to Civilian. That's it. Military to Civilian. It's on YouTube. So I think it'd be youtube.com/military to civilian. And you should get right there. But again, if you start listening on there, please subscribe. Also, if you know any military members who are getting close to transitioning, or even if they're like 5, 10 years, if they've already decided they're going to make a career out of it, it's a good time now to start listening to some of the tips that I'm providing on there because it's never too early to start planning. It's never too early for a military member with 10 years in that's planning on retiring at 20 to have a solid vision and start plugging those things into their calendar of what they need to do. So that's it for today. I hope you have a great rest of your day and come on back tomorrow. Until then, run to your challenges. We'll see you.